All right, welcome back to the show. Number 20, episode 20. This is huge for us. Just a goal we had. Here we are. We hit it. And man, what an episode. Andre from Vintage Sports Cards Club. This guy's amazing. Yankee fan, incredible stories, but a lot of fun.
Yeah, Matt, I totally agree. I was really excited to get on this show just because I'm a huge Yankees fan, and just even Sim going through his card collecting, aspect of where he came from to where he went and some of the connections he made along the way. It's really great to hear. So let's get into it.
That's all right. Here we go. We've got Andre from Vintage Sports Cards with us. This man is a legend in the vintage game. He's actually a legend in the game of cards and the hobby. 40 years, is that right, Andre?
Yes, 40 years.
My goodness, man. Well, we're really glad to have you, and I'm incredibly excited to have you on because the stories you shared with me before we jumped on are there's just too many. So let's just dive right into it.
Wait a second. First off, I want to say I'm super excited just because of your Yankee history, and I can't wait.
Yes.
Matt's been withholding stories from me, so
Yes.
Yeah, we
I'm
got a
just
lot of
waiting to hear it from you.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
I'm excited too. Matt and RJ, thank you. Behind the breaks, it's really great to be here and excited to share some good stuff
Yes.
about a great hobby that's been good to a lot of people, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's and it's a blast. And as we discussed earlier, it's a nice escape for some of us. It's a business for others. And regardless of where you're at, the positivity that you were talking about earlier today is what we want to bring in. So here we go, man. So you started out as what, 7, 8-year-old kid buying tobacco? Not tobacco, but
Yeah,
tobacco cards, right?
yeah. I was a little unusual. I was collecting in '71 in the early days, grocery store and flipping cards. I was a really good flipper, and I won thousands of cards. 71, 72 was really my era there early on. But at the flea markets, there was tobacco cards, and they were in the showcases that had silver spoons and pocket watches, and they used to mark them at 25 cents. All these little tobacco cards, and people really weren't into it at that time. But I loved the pictures. I loved the artwork. So my father gave me a little bit allowance every week, and I just kept buying all these tobacco cards and compiling this massive collection, over a few years. So, and I think I bought a Ty Cobb greenback for like $1 or something back then. It was so cheap back then. And so I even actually, I found a picture of my house way back then when I was a kid, and I had a showcase, like a dealer showcase in my room, my bedroom, and it was full of cards, tobacco cards, and Willie Mays and Hank Aaron and Mickey Mantle, and then it was such a cool thing, and I built up this thing. But then in high school, I wanted to get a car, so I sold the collection for a car,
Yep.
and I think I got something like 5 grand back then, which was a huge
That's a
amount of
huge
money.
amount of money.
Yeah, it's a huge amount of money. So I was I put a little article in the classified. The guy came over and bought them, and then I went and got my dream car was a '72 454 Monte Carlo,
There you
and
go.
turned it into a show car. So I had this beautiful show car in high school, all from collecting tobacco cards and baseball cards in the flea market.
So you were a businessman at 7 years old. Is that what you're telling me?
That's
Well,
awesome. That's
today they're
awesome.
the businessman. We're gonna talk about that later, but today these kids are something else.
Yeah,
We'll
we
talk
will.
about.
We will get into that. But man, that's pretty incredible. Do you realize now what you had then to get your car? Or I mean, do you know what
Oh
those
yeah, I mean, yeah, listen, I'm never one to look back and say I shoulda, woulda, coulda. I just,
Sure.
you thank you're blessed for what you have, and I always am grateful for what I have. So I don't really ever feel that way, but of course, it's been worth a fortune by now, you
Right.
know. And then I think I
See,
would,
but it's an experience builder, right? Because now
yeah,
you're just like, oh, I've had it. I know how to get it again, and I can
yeah.
just push forward and keep collecting.
I think after that, then I took a little hiatus there, maybe about 5 years, and then I went to a garage sale and I bought this big box of cards, and I'm like, here we go again. I'm going to start up again, and that leads to the second story where I bought them and I sold them, and I was like, wow, this is great. Like I made a lot of money. It was fun, and I also started to put my own collection back together again. Pulled out some cards I wanted, so I was starting to collect again, and then. And then the funny thing, there was an article in the classified New York Times. Guy said, huge collection, vintage cards for sale. I meet the guy at a diner on 72nd Street, and my friend John Burgandy has a collectible store for 50 years there. It's called Burgandy Coins and Collectibles. It was on 44th Street at the time, and he had recently on 57th Street. Very big dealer. So I brought the cards down to John, and John, I said, I'd like to sell them to you. He goes, okay, let me check them out. And he did something that I really never expected. He turned the lights off in the store. And I'm like, John, why you turn the lights off in the store? He put a blue light over the cards to check the cards. I said, why are you putting a blue light over the cards? And he said, well, when at the time there was people in the art business who were restoring artwork, got into the card business and were storing these vintage cards. And people didn't really know. So they took a big Babe Ruth card and they rebuilt the corners just like they would on a painting. And then they sold it as original in a much higher grade, looking much sharper.
Man.
And no one knew that when you put the blue light on, it would turn purple. The little tips or resins would turn a different color or a darker color.
Okay, so it was the resins that are showing up?
Yeah, the resins and sometimes a little paint or whatever. It was really the resins that turned purple. And sometimes if somebody put a little white or something, it would turn a color. And then so I was like, wow, this is quite amazing. So my first two collections from this guy were good. John bought them both. I made a lot of money.
Okay.
And I would just buy them, take a cab, sell them, and I was done. So I was like, this is amazing. So the guy calls me back the third time and says, I got a massive collection for you this time, much bigger than the other ones. I said, okay, I bought it. I go to John, and John starts looking at him and says, uh-oh, everything is bad. The guy, he set you up. He set you up, and all these cards are bad. So I was like, oh my God.
What does bad mean? They're all fake, or
they were all retouched. They were all rebuilt.
okay?
There was problems with all of these cards. The blue light was showing all these marks and resin and like if they rebuilt that corner, you'd see a line across it in blue, but you couldn't see it with your eye.
Yeah.
Only the blue
Right,
light
yeah.
would show that resin. Yeah. So what
That's
happened?
crazy.
So anyway, I go to the guy. He gives me the money back. So okay, I'm fine. But then I said, wait a minute. Can I make this blue light idea for checking cards in a portable version? So this true story. I go to Home Depot and I found a basin. It looks like a mini periscope. And I Velcroed in the blue light and I Velcroed in a white light and I put high power magnification lenses on the top and snapped it in. And I called it the Inspectorscope. And it worked like unbelievable. Not only the blue light, but actually, one of the things you need to achieve is to create darkness. So if you're at a card show with heavy light, you can put the card inside and it creates the darkness. So that's where the blue light is effective. But the white light would see every crease, every wrinkle. You couldn't see it. You could not see it. But you pop it in there, boom, there's a crease, there's a wrinkle, and so what happened was it was very effective. And I sold, I don't know, almost $100,000 of these out of my garage.
Well, who are you selling them to? Just
to dealers. Or
Okay.
every dealer, I showed
Hell
to
yeah.
the dealers, all my dealer friends, and they're like, oh man, this is amazing. Give me one, give me one, give me one. And it was checks to a P.O. box back then. Check to a P.O. box, right?
There's no
So
Venmo.
then yeah, and I put him in a bag, right, with instructions. And I also put the information that a restorer guy put in there what he was charging to restore the cards to show them, hey, this was going on. And I actually took a little card with a white border and put a touch of white out on it. And that would turn deep purple underneath the blue, just as a little test card to show them that it worked.
How big is
Yeah,
it?
so that was-
How big is this thing? Is it like a small
It was
TV?
it's about this big. You saw it on the website, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
about this big. Inspectorscope, and it was $99. $99. So then I go to the National in Houston. It was in Houston. It was in Texas. I went to the National.
Okay.
Every dealer had the scopes everywhere. Every table had scopes everywhere. Even Mr. Mint, Alan Rosen, the famous Mr. Rosen. We'll talk about Mr. Mint too.
Yeah.
But even he had one. And so all the guys who eventually started the grading companies were buying the scopes, and the guys who were tampering with the cards were saying, "Oh no, I'm gonna get caught now. I can no longer get away with this." So those guys were slowly faded away because they couldn't get away with it anymore.
Well,
And I
It's
knew,
great for the hobby.
yeah, weren't those guys?
I
Those guys
knew
were
a lot-
buying it, right? They were buying your
Huh?
scopes, right?
well, they bought the scopes and said, "Oh, we can get our stuff's coming up now, so we're in trouble. We can't sell this type of stuff." And a lot of the guys knew the guys that were doing this, and we knew we had them caught.
Yeah.
And some of them were sitting right in front of the show. Anyway, so anyway, we started to clean the hobby up, make it really clean. Sophisticated collectors are getting more sophisticated. And then the grading company people and Dave Foreman, who started SGC, he got the scopes. He bought a couple scopes. He probably, they started to think, well, we should check the cards like this, but then we should encapsulate and grade them, give them a grade and start grading. So that was really the foundation was the Inspectorscope to clean it up and make people aware that this was going on. And then grading took it to the next level. So we were pre-grading. So it kind of like that was the history of how the grading came into effect.
My
It was
goodness,
yeah,
man. So you're on
it's
the ground
incredible.
floor of this. I mean, you
It was really it worked well, and we love the hobby. We want a great clean hobby, and the hobby is so much better now. It's fantastic. Everything certified, graded, everything's clean. Now we're enjoying it. We got out the bad people out of the business, and now it's just fun, and it's the most wonderful thing. And I encourage everybody to get into the hobby, and kids. It's a clean hobby for the kids, and it's great, for everybody to be involved with it.
yeah, well, let's dive into the kid thing because when you were talking to me earlier, you're not wrong. So, you're talking about kids lined up now that the world has changed. These kids are hustlers at an early age. They're coming in with $5,000 dollar cases and ready to negotiate at
Yeah,
13 years old.
you go to a high school show, and there's a line of 30 kids under the age of 18 from 12, 13, 14, all prepared. They had to get up early. They were prepared. They have the cases. They know their cost. They know their margin. They know what they need to sell for. They have thousands of dollars worth of cards in the case. They're learning skills that you could not get in any other field. There's no field that you're 12 years old and you're learning the margins and negotiations and skill, and they come in and they come up to you, "Sir, are you buying, sir?" And they "Yeah, I'm buying. What do you have?" "Well, I have this card, I have this price, I have this, I have this. I'm willing to trade for this." I mean, this is like really great stuff for these kids. I'm just amazed at it. I was in a card show, I think a month ago, and I saw a young girl, maybe 20 years old, and she's negotiating this deal. And I said, are you in the business?" She goes, "Oh yeah, I quit my." She got like an Ivy League graduate, and like was 21 and graduated from college, and she quit to go full time doing cards.
There you
And I'm
go.
like,
Good
"Wait,
for her,
you
man.
you just graduated from an Ivy school, and Ivy school, and you're full time in cards, and you're how old?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh man, this is unreal." And I said, "Do you do vintage?" "Oh, sure I do. I'm Willie Mays, Hank Aaron." She knew all the cards. And I'm like, "Wow, this is a whole new generation." And the reason, there was this old story about, well, the mantle generation is dying off and getting older, and that's kind of fading. It's not. No, it's not. It's not. It's actually come back strong. And I'll tell you why. Because the kids need to learn that, because they look at it as a buy and a sell, right? They learn mantle. I bought it for 90 and I'm selling for 120. They learn Maze. It's a buy and a sell. So now they learn about mantle. They learn about Maze. They learn about Aaron. So all that stuff has come back again. So it's a rejuvenation of really the vintage game. And of course, modern is gone crazy
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
But
modern's
but it's
gone crazy.
it's just amazing. I love to see it. And every time I see a kid, I'm like, "Wait a minute, you're negotiating this deal. You got up at what time did you get up? You wrote down your prices. You're ready for. I love you, man." I'm like, give him a hug. I'm giving free cards, whatever. And it's just great to see this new
Well,
generation.
I mean, you're almost the godfather of the hobby. I'm gonna call you that, by the way. But, I mean, it's
I
gotta
love that. I love that title,
there you go.
Godfather
That's
of.
awesome. Yeah, yeah, it's awesome.
So you're looking at these kids as, like, this is what's coming behind you. The hobby's in good shape. But
Yes, the hobby's exploding again. Yeah,
yeah.
hobby's exploding again. And you notice that if you go on Google, Yahoo, any of the servers, every day there's articles on baseball cards. Every single day.
Yep.
The Wagner sold for 2 million. This one sold for 5 million. The Mantle card broke a new record. Every single day, someone found this collection. So that wasn't 2, 3 years ago. Now it's every single. So in the public's eye, it's become so really prevalent. And there's a lot of great dealers out there. There's a lot of great Facebook sites. Nick Agnetz has a great site. 1985 and below. Mark Fahrenbacher has a great site. There's some really great Facebook sites that have like 20,000 and 50,000 members
Yeah.
in those collector groups.
Yep.
And it's powerful. And I do a lot of posting there, and I sell a lot there. But they've done such a great show. There's all these collector sites out there too. So it's great. It's just great to see the hobby strong and booming again.
Yeah. Well, teaching these kids, 13-year-old kid in school's not learning how to the art of a deal or negotiating and all that. So
Yeah.
it's pretty
They're,
impressive.
Yeah, if you look a few years ago, they sit behind cell phones and they hide. And even at a trade booth, they won't talk to you. Now these kids are going in; they're ready for action, ready to negotiate, and it's really it's nice to see it again. They're getting the skills back again.
Yeah, that's right. They're pushing guys like me out of the way. Hey, dude, I got to negotiate a deal. Get out of my way here. So here's what I
Yeah.
got. And then they're looking at guys who are listening to this podcast, and they're looking at guys like you who got a muscle car in high school, and they're like, wait a minute now. I can do
That
that.
was the beginning, huh?
That's right, man. Get your what was it again? You had a Monte Carlo?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, come on, guys. Let's go. let's go. All right, so let's pivot. So
Yeah.
you've got the what is it called? The Introspectorscope?
Inspectorscope, yeah.
Inspectorscope. My goodness, sounds like Inspector
And
Gadget.
after that, got more into, developing eBay business, and it's 1960, my eBay, and, 12 we've been on since 2007.
Yeah.
So we started hitting up eBay really strong. We started to develop a business there. I don't know, 12,000 perfect feedback since then, and then from there, we started to branch into, actually when Yankee Stadium opened, right? That was the beginning when the new
Yeah.
Yankee Stadium opened in 2009.
Well, hold up.
I
Let's talk about
Yeah, go
eBay
ahead.
real quick if you don't mind. So
Yeah, go to eBay.
you guys jumped on eBay. Um, how many cars do you think you have on eBay right now?
Well, right now, like we have tried to rebuild eBay,
Mhm.
um, because I was very focused on Facebook sites.
Okay.
But I started on eBay back in 2007, and I was listing like crazy. And now we have about 500 really good vintage cards, and we're adding 2 to 300 a week.
Oh, geez.
That's awesome.
I
Yeah,
will
that's
have
awesome.
15,000 cards in maybe 6 months up there. It'll be a mega site for eBay. Andre C.
Strictly vintage? Strictly
Yeah,
vintage?
yeah, strictly vintage, and my website is VintageSportscardClub.com, and on that website are links to eBay and links to whatnot and everything else. But eBay really started a strong following there and building the eBay business up, and so we recently are really going hard at it now. We're going hard to really fill it up with really a lot of vintage stuff.
Yeah. And is it slabs or you got a lot of raw cars? What's it looking like in there?
I have a combination, more raw right now, more raw, high quality raw right now,
Yep.
and we'll be adding the slabs later. This slabs are hard because they sell so fast. It's hard to. Now I have three building. I have a whatnot inventory. I have the eBay inventory. And you have the Facebook inventory.
Okay.
So you have three inventories that you have to fully manage. Three full inventories.
All right. So how do you decide? Okay, you got some shows coming up this week. You've got what, Tuesday, Thursday?
Yeah, I got tomorrow night. I have a tomorrow night a show, and then the weeks after this airs, we have a Tuesday, Thursday, and a Sunday on Whatnot. And it's everything stems now from the website, VintageSportscardClub.com, and then you have all the links
Yeah.
to the shows. You have the links to eBay, Whatnot, everything else.
So how do you decide? Do you sit at the kitchen table and like, okay, I'm going to sell this on Whatnot. This is going to eBay. How do you make that decision?
Yeah, that's a good question. You got Whatnot is been absolutely incredible. We could dive into that, but there's certain things I see they like, and they pay good money for, and there's certain things they don't quite, not as enthusiastic as on Facebook. Facebook, I might do a really bigger dollar cards. Although I sold the Bobby Orr rookie the other day in a 4 for like $5,500 on Whatnot. So it's hard to say, but I'm learning, what they like, and every group has certain things they like
Yeah.
better than others.
Yeah.
That's what I find. And so I try to cater to what they like.
So when you're on
So we try.
Facebook, are you doing, is it a Facebook Live or are you just putting cards up and people reach out?
No, it's it's really kind of neat. The Facebook works in this way. They have three styles of selling. One is a claim sale. The claim sale is you put out a price and then the person claims it at that price.
Mhm.
There's something really interesting on Nick Agdatz's site. It's a deal or no deal, it's called. I
Okay.
love deal or no deal. So you could put up a 51 Mickey Mantle rookie card and they call and say deal or no deal. Sometimes they abbreviate it called DOND, DOND.
Okay.
And then people make you offers. And you could say, no, I'm not, you're a little too far away. I need a little bit more. Getting closer, almost there, and then the guy gets close. You might say, okay, deal. Or you say, no deal, not there yet. No deal, too far to go. And you could walk it like up a ladder and somebody may make you an offer and you might like it. And if not, you don't take it. That's all. It says a deal or no deal.
Okay.
And it's very effective. And the third style is the auction. Obviously, the 24-hour auction, you post the cards, and then what they do is 24 hours after the last bid on that card, the auction ends after the last bid. 24 hours after the last bid. So if people keep bidding, it'll keep going on, and then it ends at 24 hours after the last bid. So you got auction, claim, and deal or no deal on Facebook. And you have, you have some vintage cards. Mark Fahrenbacher's site is fantastic. He's got 52,000 followers. These are amazing jobs. These guys built these Facebook things. And what was good for me is when I came into Facebook more or less 3-4 years ago, I had the background So once they kind of got a hold of the years that I've been around and stuff like that, it helped to accelerate me because I wasn't on there early on. I came in late, but it helped to push me way up to be one of the top guys and dealers that people trust and they buy from me. And the thing is, if you're going to send somebody through PayPal $1,000, 2,000, you want to know who you're sending it to, right? So
Yeah.
my 40 years came in and working with the Yankees. If the Yankees trust me, then the average guy can trust me. So it kind of really helped me accelerate at that point. So Facebook has been a gold mine, and there's a great collectors and great dealers on there too. There's a lot of great dealers on there. So I think it's just fantastic.
All right. So before we pivot off and we start talking about this local baseball team that you mentioned there, do you have any tips as far as?
Hang on, Matt. Can you jump in? I gotta take care of something.
Yeah,
real
yeah,
quick.
yeah.
Just keep going with your question. I'll be right
All right.
back.
Well, actually, we'll just hold off here. Let him handle his thing there. All right. Well, let's just dive back into this. I don't, RJ's got something to deal with. We'll edit that piece out. So, real
Okay.
quick before we pivot to the Yankees, let's
Yeah.
talk about some tips because Facebook isn't something we've talked about. Clearly, you've found an avenue to move some cards. So, you got any tips for folks that are interested in moving cards on Facebook?
Yeah, and again, I think it's really great that the Facebook. I'm just going to show here on the screen if I can. This is one of my favorite sites here, and that's the 1985. You can see that right there, Nick Agneck. And this site has 22,000 collectors on there. And basically, what they do is I'll just show you like what a post would look like. Here's one of my posts right there. So I put up lots of cards. These I have sticker prices right on them.
Oh, okay.
So you put the price one on it, and basically gigantic Hall of Fame claim sale starting now. First to claim gets the card. All cards are marked with price list with the prices on them. So people you could price them that way. That's one way to do it. They run a lot of auctions in here. This is kind of interesting. They had a Brooks Robinson hat that was his minor league hat,
Oh,
San Antonio.
man.
Yeah, Brooks Robinson cap here.
Look at
Right?
that.
That's his minor league hat, which is a rare one, and that was for sale. And that was one of those things we've talked about before, the deal or no deal.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
cool. It says Wild Don, one of the craziest items I have come across, 1956 season game used Brooks Robinson San Antonio minor league cap. That's pretty cool, right? With all the certification.
That is incredible.
So my point is that there are a couple of really strong, some really strong Facebook collector sites. You could sell your cards on there. You can, sometimes you could trade with people on there. But they're really well run. You have to, sign up and get, approved for them. And they vet people. They vet people to make sure that the people are not, everything's up and up and
Yeah,
on
yeah.
board.
Good.
And they do a damn good job of it. And sometimes if you're going to make a deal with somebody, they ask for vouchers, and then people will vouch for a particular person to say, yes, he's a good guy to deal with.
Oh, okay.
They do a great job. They do a really great job with these sites. They're very, very good and professional on these sites.
All right. So somebody out there's got some cards that they're interested in moving and maybe not jumping in and taking that risk with the whatnot. Not that whatnot's a risk, but there's the auction piece to it. So if somebody's looking to get the price they're asking
that's another
for,
one too.
yeah, jumping on.
Another
Okay.
one. Another great site. This one, Vintage, has 54.3 thousand members. 54,000 members.
Man.
So as a tip, you could join and you can buy or you could sell, and you have the different ways to do it. So these are really great, and you get a lot of camaraderie. I made a lot of good friends.
Yeah.
We became very personal friends, and I've got a great customer base from there. And I love it. I think it's just great,
Yeah.
And you
No.
talk shop. You always talking shop. 24 hours a day, you're on there talking shop
Oh,
about
man,
cards.
That's the best
know?
part of this job doing this podcast is I
Yeah.
get to meet guys like you. I mean, we were shooting the breeze this morning, talking about things, texting each other. I'm texting the guys that have been on the show. That's absolutely my favorite part of doing this podcast is the people I get to meet. So you're absolutely right. You get to talk there on Facebook. So now you've just given me another place to go do some what I call quote unquote research. So thanks for that.
We got one more. I just want to bring up this one more.
Yeah.
This one has last one. This one here. This one has 57,000 members.
Man.
57,000 members.
Estates
So-
auction houses. Man, look at
Yeah,
that.
it's Vintage Cards Fire. Yep, for 57,000 members. So
All right.
this is all new to me. It was all new to me when I joined it 3 or 4 years ago, and it's It's become I post every single week there. I'll post every week collections for sale.
All right. So what we'll do is we'll drop some of that stuff down in the show notes. So if people are interested in checking it out, they're also we'll post your information, and if people want to reach out to you for some questions, maybe
Absolutely.
talk to you, we'll drop that in the show notes. All right.
Sure.
Now let's pivot to your pivot. So you got into the hobby, things are growing, things are moving fast. And then the local ball club, how'd that happen? Talk us through that. The Yankees and you have a
Yeah.
tight
Okay.
relationship, man. This is huge.
Well, in 2009, when the stadium first opened, I was excited to go to the new stadium, and I was walking around the stadium. I saw the museum. Everything was really cool. And I saw Steiner Sports basically had the current players, the Jeters, the Rivera, Posada, those guys.
Those guys.
But I didn't see any real history, like the Mantles and the Roos and the cards and the vintage. Where was the rest of the history? It was in the museum, but it wasn't accessible. It wasn't accessible. So I said, boy, I'm going to find a way to sell cards in the stadium, and I'm going to be in there in 2 weeks. People thought I was absolutely nuts. And so I continued to. I got a hold of a gentleman, Michael Parrell, who's my very, very good friend now, greatest guy. And I said, Mike, let me please come in and show you what I have. So he finally said, okay.
Well,
So
so
I
hold
go
on.
into the
Mike was working with the Yankees?
Mike is in charge. He's like VP of Legends Hospitality, and
Okay.
he runs all the concessions.
All right.
He runs all the merchandise.
So
He's a
you reached out
merchandise
to
guy.
him. You said, "Hey, your shop's not,
Yeah.
you're
Let me-
you're
yeah,
missing some
let me-
stuff."
Yeah, let me come in and show you what he loves, and Legends loves the history of the Yankees. So it was like a perfect fit. It was a perfect fit for us. So when I came in, I got into the boardroom, and we were discussing, with the mahogany. It was like a 60-foot table, and the Yankee NY carved the mahogany trophies all
Oh
over.
my goodness,
And
man.
they're asking me all these questions, and I was answering them because I've been in the business since I was 10, and then they said there was a particular person that they gave some box seats to, and they gave him a free a World Series box seats, by the way. They gave him to him free, and they gave this person um a Babe Ruth card as a gift back in
Oh,
return favor.
okay.
And
So
and
he
they
got the
said,
box
"I want
seats, and he said, "Here's a Babe Ruth card."
yeah, here's a Babe Ruth card
Okay.
favor." I won't mention who it was.
All
But
right. Fair
so
enough.
then they said, "Andre, could you I'm gonna go get the card." He gets the card in front of everybody. He says, "What do you think? What do you think about the card?" And I took the card, and I threw it across the table, and I said, "Guys, that card's fake. It's not even worth 5 cents. It's not even worth the paper." And they were like, "What are you talking about? You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about." I said, "Listen, I'm sorry this happened, but the card's fake. Here's my card, and you call me when you figure it out." So that was like
Hold on a
on a
second.
Monday.
You mic dropped and walked out. You're like, "Hey."
Yeah, I put the here's my card, and when you figure it, call me. So 2 days later, I get the call to go back to the boardroom, and they basically said, "Look, we found out, basically you're right. You're an expert. We found out this card was not, a real card, and we want you to go into the Yankee Stadium, walk around, and find a spot that you want to be set up on, and I want it done by Friday." It was Tuesday. It was Tuesday.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
It was
hold on.
within
These guys, the executives said to you, "Andre,
Yeah.
go find a spot to put up your own card shop in Yankee Stadium."
Yeah, we'll build you a kiosk. We'll get you a kiosk, and I want you set up right away. I want this get in by Friday. It was like what? It was like 3 days.
Do you realize you're saying this like it's no big deal? Like that's everybody in the hobby's dream to have. I mean, of course, the Yankees to say, "Yeah, hey, find a spot and we'll hook you up." Good for you, man.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I left right from there. I walk around, and then on the second deck, I said, "Well, let me go to the museum because that's where you're kind of seeing all this history. So imagine if you can walk out of the museum and it's right there for you to buy
Ugh,
because there's not a museum. There's not a museum store, right?
right.
So I walked by the museum. And I looked next door. I said, "What? There's a big wall there, 40-foot empty wall." Right next to the museum. I said, "Could you guys put the kiosk here and build the setup right here?" And they said, "Okay, we'll do it. And get your stuff ready and be ready for Friday. Come in Friday."
And what
So
day
I
was
come in.
what day was this?
It was Tuesday. Tuesday.
Hey, you said 2 weeks
Ah,
and it's 4
yeah.
days. 4
Yeah.
days.
So I scrambled, got my inventory. I called all my friends. "Guys, I need every Yankee thing you got. Bring it over. Bring it over." Right. I called my brother George. "You got to help me." My brother George came and helped me. I said, "You got to help me. We're in Friday." "What do you mean we're in Friday?" He said, "Yeah, we're in Yankee Stadium Friday. We're selling. We're selling." So we scrambled. We got everything together, and we opened up so strong. We put together, I mean, our display has, first of all, one, two, three, four entire 6 foot, 8 foot, 4 8 foot showcases full of vintage cards, Yankees, everything. Mantle, DiMaggio, Garrick, Ruth, Mattingly. We had, of course, Jeter at the time, tons of Jeter rookies. We had it totally, we had the big lights on it and everything. The pictures are on the website,
Unbelievable.
VintageSportscardClub.com. The pictures of our setup are
Yeah,
on
yeah.
there.
Yep.
And we brought in these, I was telling you before, we brought in these store model bats, which are really cool. Like in the 1930s, you can go to a store and buy a Lou Gehrig bat. Of course, you can't get a real Gehrig bat because it's like, $500,000 or
Yeah.
whatever. So we had
Is
the
that all?
actual bat yeah, we had the actual bat from the 1930s, store models. So we had a whole selection of store model bats, store model gloves. And then we had every mug, every all-star program, every yearbook from the 1940s. We had a stand, 1940s, all the way up, every yearbook. Every
Un-
all-star program, everything. And then we had
Unbelievable.
a section of newspapers, all the newspapers from Babe Ruth, 1920s, all of it, all framed or in plastics. We came in like guns blazing, and what happened is the Yankee collectors just, they just fell in love with the merchandise. They have shrines in their home. The Yankee collectors have shrines
Oh, I
in their
know.
homes. So
I mean,
so yeah, so we fit right in because we gave them all the things to go back to their shrine and put them up.
yeah.
So they loved it, and we just, from that point, the business was booming really big. And later they put a Monument Team store. We were in the Monument Team store there for a while, and yeah, and then that led to a lot of other things. Wanting to meet the players and all that stuff
Well,
too, which
yeah.
was the next mission, right?
Yeah.
First get in, get the cards, then you want to meet the players.
Of course, man. But I mean, what an opportunity. I mean, talk about seizing an opportunity, man. I mean, I think for me, that's the tip that should outshine all tips. Like, get an opportunity and just seize it. Go into it, do what you can, and make it happen. And you did that. I mean,
No, I agree, but you know what? It's everybody tells you can't, right? But if you really believe you could do anything you want in life. And I think that's the real thing is, believe you could do it with every bit of passion you can, and the next thing, boom, it's done. You're there, you're doing it. You got to kind of push the negative away and let the positive flow and just stay positive. So that my next thing was like, wait, I said to myself, all right, I'm in the stadium now. Now I want to meet the players. I want to meet Jeter. I want to meet all the players. So uh after the game, we lock up the booth, and there was a charity event on the field. So I went down. I have security badge, but I'm not allowed on the field. And I just walked on the field. I swear, I told you before. I just walked on the field, and the guys, I swear, they acted as if they knew me. It was the strangest thing. Like Posada, yeah, no, they just said, "Hey," I said, "How you doing?" I said, "Hi, how are you? How you doing? How you doing?" Jeter said hello. Uh, you know, all the guys there were so nice, and Posada, especially because he has a charity with his son.
Yep.
His son had like 9 brain operations, and I said to Jorge, I said, "Hey, listen, I'm the baseball court guy. Nice to meet you, and I'd really like to help your son's charity." So he took my phone. We ended up having lunch like at the pier down at his place. And I
Nice.
ended up giving 500 baseball cards to the Posada Foundation. He took pictures on the website holding the card. He was such a nice guy.
Yeah.
And the event was great. I got to meet Bernie Williams and John Franco and lots of different, players, and Michael Kay, hanging out with all these guys. And it was great. But yeah, it was just bizarre that, I ended up on the field meeting the players because I believed I was going to meet the players. And then that led to sometimes after the game, I'd go around the back by the outfield wall, the right field wall, and there'd be like Girardi with his son Dante hitting balls to him, and they would try to hit home runs over the wall, and I would catch for them and throw to Girardi.
Yeah.
So then I look up and I said, "Wait a minute! I'm in the stadium here. It's empty. There's no one here but me, Girardi, and his son Dante." It was just unbelievable.
Just hanging out with some Yankees, no big deal,
Yeah,
Andre.
and Andy Pettitte and his son, Andy Pettitte and his son, and I played ball, so I was throwing, like, catching the ball, and I was throwing as hard as I could, and they were like, it's no big deal to them, but,
Of course, yeah.
it was
Now,
so much fun with the kids, and that was amazing,
you're a lifelong Yankee fan, right?
Yes,
So,
yes.
like, at what point, I mean, you said it that you kinda looked around and realized, but I mean, that'd be moving. I mean, Yankee fans are different. I mean, it's not like the Diamondback. I'm a Diamondbacks fan, San Diego Padres. These are new teams without that legacy, without that heritage. Like, now granted, it was a new stadium. It wasn't the house that Ruth built. it's still Yankee Stadium, for goodness sakes. You're standing on a field with not just legends. I mean, these guys are now legends, right? The Jeters and those other guys you're talking about. But man, what an absolutely incredible feeling to just kind of stop and look around and say, I grew up watching this team and here I am. What an awesome
Well,
experience.
the other part I didn't tell you to the story was in 1980, I had a tryout with the Yankees, and they offered me a contract.
Oh,
They offered me to play, yeah, well, to play rookie ball.
okay.
But I had just they said, "Are you going to go to college or do you want to play rookie ball?" And I just got a scholarship the week before to Albany to do my junior senior year. And so I said, "No, I'm going to try to finish out my school." And the unfortunate thing is a week later my mom passed away,
Oh
and
man.
I didn't end up taking the contract. I didn't end up going to school. I dropped out, and I came on a little bit. I went back to college at Mercy College, but I tried to come back with the Mets and a few other teams, and I never made it back. But then I made it 30 years back into the Yankees as a vendor of baseball cards 30 years later, and ended up getting the World Series ring down the road. We'll tell that story. But,
Well,
it's like life came full circle for me.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let's tell the story now because you're absolutely right. You know, you persisted and you still ended up on the field with the Yankees. So, and
Yeah, it
as
was
far
it
as
was
I'm
a dream it
concerned,
was
it's a win.
a dream come true because I always felt after my mother passed away, she always wanted me to be a Yankee, and she knew I had to try out, and then she passed away, and then 30 years later, I get back in, and I'm like, and then when at the end of the season, when they won our first year there, they considered us part of the organization, and we got the, Yankee World Series ring, the 2009 World Series ring.
Oh man, look
You
at
know,
that.
me
Put that thing up here. Let's see that beautiful thing.
Yeah, me and my brother got the rings. So it was like
Look at
and to tell you
that,
the truth,
man.
I'll tell you a story I didn't really tell to many people. I never really told the story, was that after I got the ring, I drove into the Yankee Stadium on a Sunday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I went onto the field and I looked up and I said, "Ma, I did it."
Yes.
You know, I became a Yankee.
There you go, man.
And the sun was shining, the stadium was empty, and it was like, "Yes, we did it. We did it." So it
Man,
was kind of
that's a beautiful
full
moment, man.
circle. Yeah,
Man,
beautiful moment.
jeez, that's some powerful stuff, man. You're coming at me hard on this stuff, but what a
Yeah,
beautiful moment for you,
I
man.
forgot. I slid that one in, but it's just you're
Yes,
bringing back memories. You're bringing back memories. So,
that's what
but
it's
we had a
about,
lot of
man.
great times. I mean, on the other side of this, it was so much fun at the stadium, and there were so many moments to share. I shared with you one before when Jeter was going for the 5,000 for the 3,000 hits. That was unbelievable. I used to go down for batting practice every day.
All right.
I'd be right there for batting practice next to the dugout, and I would see the guys. Jeter was so quiet. Yeah, but by the way, he was the greatest batting practice hitter I've ever seen in my life. I seen all the players. I seen every Miguel Cabrera. I seen all the guys. Jeter would hit a line drive rope every single time. He'd go in the batting cage 5 times to everyone's one. He'd jump in, jump in, jump in, jump in. Line drive, not pop outs, ground outs, not line drive rope every time.
No
He was
kidding.
incredible. Yeah, he was incredible, and Ichiro was incredible too. He was 150 pounds, and he had an arm like a cannon.
Yes, he
He
did.
was he was Ichiro was like, you're like, "This little guy?" He was amazing because I stood next to Ichiro, and I couldn't believe it, but anyway, back to Jeter. So Jeter was going for the 3,000 hits, and I went down that morning, and the first time ever, he was all excited. I never saw Jeter excited. I
Huh.
said, "Hey, you're gonna break the record. You're gonna break that record today." He goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it." He was all hyped up. I never saw him like that. So he comes out of the dugout, and then Reggie comes out all of a sudden. I said, "Whoa, Reggie's in uniform." So Reggie
Hold
comes
on,
out in
Reggie
uniform.
Jackson? Is that what you're saying?
Reggie Jackson, yeah, Reggie
What?
comes out in uniform. I'm like, yeah, like Reggie's in uniform. So Reggie comes out and he's standing right in front of me. It's Reggie on one side, Jeter right here, no one else around. And Reggie says, "You're gonna break the record today, man. You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it." He goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Today's your day. Today's your day. You're gonna hit a home run to do it." And Jeter then goes 5 for 5, hits a home run to break the record, and Reggie called him. And I was there. I heard it. I have a picture of Reggie talking in Jeter's ear and telling he's going to break the record. It was unbelievable.
Unbelievable, man.
Yeah, it was unbelievable moment.
Jeez, so you were there the game. You were there when he did it?
Yeah, I was right. I was right there before the game, before he went to the record.
And that's
And another. Go ahead. Go ahead.
that's such a Yankee thing that somebody called the shot. Like Reggie said,
Call the shot.
not only are you
Yeah.
you're gonna break it today, but you're gonna break it with a dinger. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
such a Yankee thing to have happen. Incredible, man.
It is, and also the other story, a part of that I didn't tell you before is that my friend came to me. He's in charge of merchandise for the whole stadium, and he said, "What do you think? if Jeter does, should I bring in and load the entire stadium up to the max with the 3K programs and all the Jeter t-shirts, 3K, 3K. Should I bet it all on Jeter? Because if he doesn't get this hit, they're going to be away for 2 weeks, and then the product's not going to sell anywhere close if I load the stadium. And I said, you know what? It's Jeter. You got to do it. Load it up. And they loaded up the stadium. They sold 7 figures in one day.
Well, of course
One
they
game.
did, man. The captain, man.
It was the most. The people were the programs were $20 a piece. People were lining up and buying cases. Can I have a case? $400 a case. Give me a case. Give me 2 cases. We were getting cases and handing them. The vendors were going nuts. I'll take a case. I'll take a case. So they bought like a whole case of programs, $400 at a shot. It was unbelievable. The 3K shirts. Yeah, it was a celebration. And he won Major League Retail of the Year that year, because he also called the Jeter one, and he called another big one too. Mariano 600 save. He's called a lot of big ones, because when you're buying merch, you have to kind of guess how much to bring in, and that was the home run, man. Jeter did it, and the whole stadium sold out. It sold out of everything.
And to be there, and he does it in New York. For you to be there, I mean, my God, what an incredible story!
The stadium, the concrete was shaking when that home run. I swear, the concrete was shaking. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, and I feel terrible. Who did they play that game? I don't remember.
I don't even remember.
Yeah,
I don't even remember.
Right,
because remember the hit.
Yeah, you're indifferent at that point. It's just some other team, but it was Jeter's day. So what an incredible story, man. So
you know what? Here's another. I got another one good one for you.
Bring it, man.
I was at my booth on the second deck next to the museum. People come over from the museum. My friend Brian and some of the people who work there. Hey, Andre, Babe Ruth's granddaughter's here. Linda Ruth is here. I said, no kidding. So she wants to meet you. She wants to meet me? I said, yeah. She wants to see your stuff. She heard you have some great stuff. So I said, bring her on over. Bring her over. So Linda Ruth, I get introduced to Linda. What a sweetheart of a woman. Linda comes over, and I had framed the 1927 when he hit 60 home runs. I had the paper framed. I had lots of Ruth newspapers, and Linda was loving it, looking through all the things. Linda has every story imaginable about the Babe. She is a historian.
No kidding.
Babe Ruth. Yeah, she's amazing. So I had her at the booth, and I'm showing her some papers, and 2 little girls come up to the booth and say, hi, Miss Ruth, would you mind please signing this for us? And she goes, yeah, sure, I'll sign for you, no problem. So Linda signs. This is a true story. Linda signs for the 2 girls. Then we look up, both of us. We look up, and the stadium is wrapped. People left the seats. They left the game. There were hundreds of people lining up for autograph for Linda. She wasn't meaning to sign for everybody. They all wanted an autograph. They literally just left the game. Everybody left the game, and they were online waiting. Linda signed for the entire game until everybody. She just signed all, and you heard her tell stories to everybody. I've never heard about Babe Ruth, and it was so incredible. So
unbelievable.
We ended up forming. Unbelievable. Signed for hours.
Well, yeah, and then your relationship with Linda kind of evolved into something else. I mean, my God, man, you are seizing opportunity after opportunity. So what happened with Linda? You guys formed a partnership, right?
Yeah, with Linda, what happened is, I could tell you. So we became very good friends. We stayed in contact a lot. We spoke a lot. I had an event in New Jersey. She came down. She actually, I think I won Italian Man of the Year in one of the counties, and Linda was my guest. And that was another thing. Like, so I brought her to the dinner. The same thing happened. Everybody came to the table, and she signed for everybody until the chefs came out, and then they closed the place. The chefs came out and got autographed. But no, we became really good friends. And then I had another idea where they were banning chewing tobacco, right? The big ban was coming on chewing tobacco.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, well, if somebody could find a replacement for the chewing tobacco, they'd make a fortune. So for me, black licorice came to my mind. Black licorice, kind of like soft and chewable, and you could spit it. So I thought, well, maybe licorice could be something. So I go to a candy show. I meet a company from Australia. I soon learn, after about a year's worth of research, that Australia makes the most incredible licorice ever made. It's soft, it's chewy, it's delicious. It's not like Twizzlers and American licorice. They make a high production. It's not the same quality. This is a really, really serious quality stuff.
Okay.
So I get the licorice. I gave it to the players, and they loved it. They're like, "Oh man, this stuff's delicious." I said, take a whole wad, put it on yourself, and do it like chewing tobacco. Like put a little dip, put it here, and they loved it. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna make a licorice, but I need somebody on the cover of this package, and that's where that's where I called Linda. I said, Linda, could I get a license with you with the family to put Babe Ruth's licorice? It would be
No
called the
kidding.
company's home run licorice, and we made a black licorice called Long Ball Licorice. I have to show it to you, but Long Ball Licorice, and then the red, which is a raspberry. I called it Round Tripper Red Raspberry. So Round Tripper Red and Long Ball Black, perfect names.
Love it, man.
We put it in the chewing tobacco pouches, and
Oh, okay.
and then we put Babe Ruth on the cover, and maybe Ellen could find one for me in the package up on top of the washer, the red package, licorice. So we then started out, and we got to a point where we were in 65 stadiums at one time,
My
including the
goodness.
Angels. Yeah, they gave it to Mike Trout. I had it given to. We were in the Royals. The Royals loved it. Yeah, it was in 65 minor league stadiums and major league stadiums. We were in Albertsons. Albertsons once bought $125,000 of. Oh, here we go. Here you go. Here
Look
it
at
is.
this. Here we
Look at
go.
that. Round
Look at
Tripper
that.
Red Raspberry, red licorice. See the Babe on there.
I love this,
Isn't that
man.
cool? Isn't that great?
Love it.
So, yeah, Albertsons once bought $125,000 in licorice, sold it out in 3 months, and Cracker Barrel did the same. They did 35,000. So we were like booming, but then COVID hit and all those stadiums shut,
Shut down.
and the business it faltered after that. And then I was involved. Then the problem is I had a supply issue right now, and because I could never sacrifice quality, so I couldn't get it really out of Australia. Australia had the fires going on there for a while.
Yep. I remember
So
that.
basically, I kind of put it on hold. It has been for sale on Amazon and eBay and all that, but I kind of put it on hold until it could be figured out with the production, because I can't quite make it and get it here now.
Yeah.
But it was a long run with it, and so many on my Instagram, which you can get off the website Vintage Sportscard Club.
Yeah.
You'll see tons of pictures, because it was originally my licorice Instagram, and I kind of changed it to a baseball card Instagram. But you'll see hundreds of baseball players, the Marlins, the A's, even Ben Zobrist from the Cubs. All of them loved
There
it.
you go.
They all were chewing it. Yeah, it was great.
My
It was great.
goodness.
It was a great run. Yeah.
All right. So how do we end up in the Hall of Fame, man? I mean, I don't even know if I want to hear this, because you're just crushing it everywhere you go. What's the Hall
Well,
of Fame
actually,
story?
the licorice is for sale in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, so that's where we get it. You're over there in the
I
Hall
know.
of Fame. Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's
man.
actually for sale right now. Right now, it's for sale in the Hall of Fame.
All
They
right.
keep calling me for more, but I can't get it. But
Come on now. If you're out there, let's get that moving. Man, incredible stuff, man. You're just seizing opportunities. I think that's what it is, right? It's just, you relationships.
you just gotta be, you just gotta be positive about it and believe you can do it.
Unbelievable. So, as we kind of bring this thing home, you're clearly going to have to come back on the podcast, because I think you could probably fill a year's worth of shows with some of these stories and your relationships, and just the way you get things done. It's truly inspiring, man. And I definitely want to stay in touch, and I will be staying in touch. But let's talk about your personal collection. So clearly, you've got a massive collection of cards. You're moving them. You're always acquiring new cards, but what is Andre's PC look like? Like, who are a couple of your players like that you just, I will not sell this card? What is that card?
Okay, well, this is an interesting question, okay? Because, when I buy so many collections, like with the Yankees, and over the years, I'd buy a collection, somebody's entire house, and then sell the stuff in the stadium, and then put a few things aside, right? And I would do that for years and years, and I built up a storage unit full, and so, but going through so many cards, I was looking for extremely rare things. I got more into memorabilia,
Oh.
rare memorabilia.
Okay.
So I have, for example, Joe DiMaggio's tuxedo when he married Marilyn Monroe. So I got his personal tuxedo. Yeah.
No way,
You know,
man.
Yes, my friend did the estate for the DiMaggio family, and he owed me a favor. So I said, listen, dude, you got to get me 3 cool items that no one else could get. So he went to the family. He said, look, I got to do my buddy a favor. So he got me DiMaggio's Gucci clock, gold Gucci clock that was on his dresser.
All
I
right.
have this tuxedo when he married Marilyn Monroe, and I have the picture that was on Joe's wall of him, color picture signed in like $1,000 frame, mahogany, beautiful frame. That was on his wall. So I got those 3 pieces, and those are the kind of things I would collect. I would put things like that away, you
Yeah.
know, and
Okay.
then like I also have like Thurman Munson 76 Player of the Year award. He received it from Whitey Ford, and Munson gave it to his photographer, and the photographer sold it to me.
Nice.
So I have some, and I also have Thurman's last pants. I'm pretty sure they were his last pants in '79 before he passed away, because he only got 3 uniforms that year, and I have the away one, which was his last one he wore. I have his
Oh, man.
pants, So things like that. I have Babe Ruth's insurance policy. When he traveled, it was like $8.98 to cover Babe Ruth when he was traveling. I have his insurance policy, you know, and,
Unbelievable.
oh yeah, like incredible things like that. Dr. J, 50-point ABA game ball signed. I have Cassius Clay and Muhammad Ali signed on one photo that he never did. He didn't sign both names.
Oh, no
Um,
kidding. I didn't
yeah,
know that.
yeah, he never signed both. I have Joe DiMaggio, also the last game he played, the World Series program, 51 signed by him. I have tons of Mantle balls. I mean, dozens of Mantle beautiful autograph balls.
Man.
I just always collected things that were like one of a kinds.
So what's your favorite Red Sox piece of memorabilia you've got?
I just that's a good, you know what? I just got Tom Seaver's check from the Red Sox for $43,000 in his last season, signed by Seaver in the back. It was
No
a
kidding.
payroll check.
No kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
was
just put that in my drawer.
I was making a joke about the, Red Sox
I
Yankees
know,
thing, right?
but it just triggered the yeah, I just got that this week in a collection. So I put that one away.
Man.
Something like that that's rare. Yeah. And I have cards. I have a lot of cards too, but
Well, of course, yeah.
things like that are more the yeah. Yeah.
All right, so what is the one card that you do have? One card that comes to your mind right away. What's that card in your PC?
33 Gowdy Ruth, you know,
You're set
33 Babe Ruth, Gowdy Ruth. I have a Gowdy Garrick.
is
I
that
have
all? Is that all, Andre? That's all you could
I have
come
a
up with?
couple of 48 leaf Babe Ruths, 48 leaf Babe Ruths. I have a lot, things like that.
Man.
Roger Maris, Roger Maris signed home run, 62 home run card, 61, yeah, 61 home run card. I have, stuff. I have a lot of cards too. I love
My
the cards too. Pele
man.
rookie card,
Pay.
Jesse Owens rookie cards, things like that.
Man, you have got everything. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, we're definitely gonna need to have you back on the show. But what's next for you, Andre, as we, kinda bring this thing down here? What's next for you? I know you've got some shows you're heading out to. What do you got
Yeah.
on the horizon?
So I think, basically right now we just finished the website as of today. It was just about 99% done. Vintage Sportscard Club. So that was a big, the last 2 months I've been working on it. So we're so glad that we're on your show and we're launching our website. And
Yeah.
our website really has all the links to everything that we do. Has the links to eBay, has the links vintagesportscardclub.com, has the links to everything we do. It has a place to, if you want to sell your collection, we could sell it, consign it. We can do that. If you want to buy, you have the eBay link and the link to our whatnot shows. So everything is, we built that as the hub. If you go to vintagesportscardclub.com, that's the hub. And we want people to follow us on whatnot and all of our sites and join the shows, and that would be great. And the next thing would be not the week of this show, would be Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday on whatnot.
Yeah, you
And then
definitely.
our cards are for sale in Yankee Stadium right now. There's 2 showcases in the team store behind home plate. There's 2 showcases. They self-man it. It's all self-run by them. I supply the cards in there. There's some really great cards in there, Mickey Mantles, and there's Babe Ruth in there, Garrick's in there. They got tons of Jeter. Judge rookies sell like crazy.
Of
We
course,
have all
right?
that stuff in the stadium for sale, yeah.
Well, and then you and I are gonna connect at the, National, so we'll talk more about that down the road. We'll make some
Yeah, I can't wait for
announcements.
that. Let's do something exciting for your we wanna get your viewers, and I'd love to give your viewers a lot of gifts. We have some beautiful, signed cards that are signed by Linda Ruth, Babe Ruth's granddaughter, and they're great cards that we have, and we'll get a whole bunch so you can give them away to your viewers and give them for
Alright.
free. They're really, really nice cards. They look beautiful.
Well, I'm stoked to do that. I'm really excited, to shake your hand and hang out with you at the National, but even more than that, I appreciate your time jumping in with us. I know it's late where you're at, but yeah, you definitely, if you're listening, you've gotta jump onto his Whatnot shows, even if you're just taking it in and watching the collection, because the cards that you're moving on Whatnot are pretty impressive, and I'm looking forward to next week jumping on your shows and checking that out. But thanks for jumping
Whatnot
in.
is amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, Whatnot is amazing. It's really incredible. I've never seen anything like it.
it's changed the hobby,
it's
man.
It really has changed the hobby.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining. It's entertaining. It's fun, and it's a lot of interaction, and people love the auction style, the format. They love the auctions, and what we do on there. I want to mention one thing.
Yeah, please.
The idea of Vintage Sportscard Club was we give a free card whenever you order, right? So everybody who buys every single card, you get it. Same thing on eBay. We've been doing this since 2007. So the more we buy, the more we sell, the bigger collection we buy, the more free cards we give to the collectors. So everybody who buys from us gets something free. And these are good cards I'm giving away. You saw on the show all the cards we give away. I was giving away rookie cards and everything. We give away a lot of, but not just as a giveaway, with every single order. So you become a member of the club, and any order you get a free card with that.
Yeah,
And that's part of the, plus you get the experience and all the rest.
and it's an incredible show. Like I said, I do a lot of research, so I watch a lot of Whatnot shows. So definitely jump in, check them out, and
I am. Oh my God, you guys would not even believe what just happened to me. You guys got a second for this?
we
Ready?
got a second.
So I have an auto lock on my office door, right? Because I got like a lot of cards and stuff in here, so like the kids' friends don't come in and all that kind of stuff. So when I left, because my son was having a little bit of a tantrum, so I'm just like, all right, I got to take care of this, right? I got to help out and settle him down. So in doing that, the door closed behind me, and I come back and I punch in the code, and it unlocks, but the handle won't fully turn now. I literally was locked out of my own office. So no joke, like my wife's got photos and videos of me. I'm out here with like a screwdriver and like a drill. I'm drilling in through man. I'm telling you, Matt, this is one of those behind the scenes stories where you're just like, what just happened? I'm
What
telling you.
is going
So
on?
I ended up getting it because I drilled through the keyhole, and then I took a small screwdriver and I hammered it through, and it got enough in to that it would latch on the key on the lock. So I was able to put the code in and turn it. And I'm like, this is it. I'm back, baby. I'm back.
Oh my God.
So
just as we're finishing,
I know. No, this is the deal. So I know I'm probably miss all of the amazing things. I'm gonna rewatch this, but I'm like, all right, that's it. Matt, I think what's gonna have to happen is I'll take some of the questions you asked, and then I'll just ask it, and the video editor will splice it in, and it will be like we just had a whole show together, right?
hey man, they don't call it.
I can
So
come
Andre,
back
if you
anytime. I can come back anytime you want. And
Oh yeah,
should be.
Andre, we'll have you on, man, because I know you left out stories, the Donnie baseball story. I
Oh
know
my
you
God,
left that
I have
out.
so many stories.
So we're definitely gonna have you back on. We're definitely gonna be doing something with you in at the National in Chicago. So looking forward to seeing it, man. And
Great.
thanks
Yeah,
thanks
thank
for
you, man.
jumping in, man.
Thank you so much. Great hobby, and let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
Let's do it, man. All right. Thank you.
So, thanks so much.
Behind the brakes. Let's go.
Thanks for listening to Behind the Brakes. We appreciate you being here with us and helping us grow this community. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube.
Make sure to like, follow, or subscribe, and we'll see you for the next one.